Hello everyone. Today we will have gynec lecture. We will have lecture on uterine fibroid or benign growths of uterus. We call it as uterine fibroid or uterine myoma. Uterine fibroid or we call it as uterine myoma. It is a benign condition. It is a leiomyoma or benign tumor of ovary, which is a benign condition which is non-malignant and which arises from the smooth muscles of uterine endometrium. So definition of uterine fibroid is it is a benign growth which arises from uterine muscular layer or soft tissues or muscles of uterus. So it is arising from the uterine muscles. It is a benign growth. Benign and malignant, these are the two terms. Benign are the things which are not cancerous, not malignant. These are the abnormal growths of the organ, but they are not cancerous. So it is a benign growth of uterus which arises from the uterine muscular layer. That is uterine fibroid, uterine myoma, leiomyoma, these are the terms. Now causes for uterine fibroid. Important causes are mainly it is not exact causes not known because it can be seen in females which don't have any family history or medicinal history or previous history, but we can find the fibroids in some female without any reason. So specific cause for fibroid is unknown, but probable causes or some causes for fibroid are family history of fibroid from her maternal side, previous history of any cyst or tumor in her body, medicinal history about some hormones, steroids or any other medicines for prolonged time. Next is dietetic history of fatty food, junk food. All this can lead to uterine fibroid. So these are the important things. Other things are history of oral contraceptive pills for prolonged time, history of repeated pregnancy, multipara patient, age above 45 to 50. These are the main causes for uterine fibroid. Other thing or other important cause is association with pregnancy. As we all are now knowing in pregnancy there is increased level of estrogen hormone. So for fibroid, important hormone or increased level of estrogen hormone is the cause for growth of fibroid because it is a benign thing which is just arising because of excessive level of hormone. So because of estrogen level increased in her body, that leads to abnormal growth of this fibroid in uterus. So main cause or main hormone which is responsible for this fibroid is estrogen hormone, and this is commonly seen during pregnancy. So fibroids are mainly associated with pregnancy. Also, as we had discussed, it is seen with oral contraceptive pills. Females which are having history of OC pills, they have the sometimes chances of fibroid. Females with prolonged history of hormonal therapy, they also have the chances of uterine fibroid. This is because of the increased level of estrogen in their body. So important cause for fibroid is estrogen hormone, excessive or increased level of estrogen. Also it is seen in obese patient, diabetic patient, hypertensive patient. Cause exactly not known, but these are the other factors, associated factors which can be seen with fibroid. Obesity is the main cause for fibroid. Nulliparous patient, nulliparous means not given birth to any baby, that is nullipara. Multipara means multiple pregnancies and multiple deliveries. Nullipara is no pregnancy, no parturition or delivery. So it is also seen in nulliparous patient. Commonly it is associated. So these are the main causes for fibroid. In short, it is because of the main is family history of fibroid, previous history of cyst tumor, medicinal history of any hormones, mainly oral contraceptive pills, hormonal treatment, steroids, dietetic history of junk food, fatty food, patients who are nullipara, obese patient, multipara patient, age more than 50. Associated other factors are repeated pregnancies, repeated deliveries. Sometimes it is because of associated with hypertension, diabetes. These are the things which can lead to uterine fibroid. So causes of fibroid. Now we had seen definition of fibroid and causes. Now we will see the types of fibroid. Types of fibroid are types are depending on the sites of fibroid. as we had seen, uterine fibroids arising from the various layers of uterus. So depending on the location or layer of uterus which is involved, the types are according to that. So first type is intramural or interstitial. It is on the inner side of uterus, so it is mainly seen on the endometrium side. Or intramural and interstitial fibroid, these are arising from the endometrial layer. Then a submucous layer, it is submucous fibroid. It is mainly because of the or arising from the muscular layer of uterus, especially myometrial layer, myometrium of uterus. And subserous, which is the outer parametrium layer, which is the external fibroid seen on the outer surface. Interstitial or intramural is the inner fibroid or endometrial fibroid. Submucous is the muscular or myometrial fibroid, and subserous is the parametrial or external fibroid. There is another term which is pedunculated fibroid. These are the external fibroids which are usually from the uterus to vagina. They are the peduncle shaped fibroids. So these are the types of fibroid depending on their location. So up till now we had discussed about the definition, causes and the types of fibroid. Now we will see the clinical features of fibroid. Before the clinical features, we should know exactly the pathology of fibroids. So fibroids are the well circumscribed tumor which are benign in nature. They usually don't turns to be malignant, so they are benign in nature. They are well capsulated. Difference between benign and malignant is whenever it is capsulated, means whenever it have proper covering, that thing is benign. Whenever it is malignant, whenever it is cancerous, it spreads in body, anywhere in body. So they don't have the capsule or margin or proper covering. Benign cells have proper covering, malignant don't have covering. That is why they spread in body. So it have well kept benign tumors or uterine fibroid. It is a well circumscribed tumor with proper capsule. It is pinkish white in color and cut surface. When we cut the fibroid, it have the rolled appearance, fingerprint appearance of rolled appearance is seen on the cut surface of the fibroid, and usually spindle like cells are seen, fibrous strands are seen microscopically, and these fibroids are usually attached to the uterine layers, and it have blood supply which is usually blood supply is more seen on the periphery than the central area, and because of this these fibroid have the pathological changes. Now what pathological changes or what complications are seen because of fibroid? So the pathological changes are or the complications are, first one is atrophy. This is atrophy. You had seen this atrophy or you had come across the atrophy term in pathology. It is the shrinkage of the particular growth. Atrophy means whenever we don't supply anything to that tumor or that cyst or any abnormal growth, that will shrink automatically. So fibroid usually shows the important change, that is atrophy. That means it shrinks in size. Why it shrinks in size? Because we had seen in the causes that estrogen is the hormone which is responsible for the fibroid, and it grows whenever there is increased level of estrogen. Growth is depending on the estrogen level. Whenever there is excessive level of estrogen hormone, fibroid size starts to increase. Fibroid size grows from millimeter to centimeter. Okay, from small size it can be large or medium size. It can become large size tumor or medium size tumor. So from millimeter to centimeter it can grow. So it depends on the level of estrogen. So whenever there is decrease in the level of estrogen, the fibroid shrinks in size and it becomes normal structure in uterus. So atrophy is mainly seen in menopausal patient because there is decreased level of estrogen hormone at menopausal age. So fibroid automatically shrinks at this age. After pregnancy, in pregnancy there is increased level of estrogen hormone. So after delivery there is a decreased level of estrogen hormone and this fibroid automatically shrinks in size. So we don't have to do any treatment. As it shrinks and become a part of uterus, it becomes very small size. So patients are usually asymptomatic. So important change is atrophy. That means shrinkage or fibroid becomes small sized. That is the first change, pathological change or complication we can say. Second change is mainly fibroid shows these type of change, that is degeneration. Degeneration also you should know, whenever there is decreased blood supply to any organ or any growth, there is degeneration. Various types of degeneration are seen on this fibroid. Important degenerations are red degeneration, calcareous degeneration, hyaline degeneration, and calcification or calcareous degeneration, cystic degeneration. These are the various degenerations we see whenever there is fibroid. So one by one we will see, as you should know what is degeneration exactly. I told you in short, it is because of decreased blood supply there is degeneration. But now in fibroid we will see one by one the degeneration. First type we had seen, or it is very common and it is complicated type, it is red degeneration. Red degeneration means it is because of the excessive or increased level of blood supply, increased vascularity. Because of this there is a congestion of the blood vessels on the fibroid, and that leads to severe pain to the patient, and that may cause rupture of blood vessels, severe bleeding, hemoperitoneum and other complications. Usually this red degeneration is seen along with pregnancy, because in pregnancy there is increased blood supply for the baby and for the gravid uterus. So because of this increased blood supply, there is increased blood supply to fibroid also, and because of this there is severe congestion on fibroid and vessels can rupture and patient can have hemoperitoneum and septic complications, and patient may die in this. So red degeneration, it is very common complication during pregnancy. It can mislead to labor pains during pregnancy. Usually it is seen in late pregnancy. So we may think there are labor pains during pregnancy, but these are the red degeneration complications. So that is red degeneration. Next is calcareous degeneration. It is usually seen in the menopausal age because of the excessive level of calcium deposition on the fibroid. It becomes stony hard. It is called as womb stone, and it is mainly seen in menopausal patients where there is continuous lump-like sensation or heavy sensation in abdomen because of this calcareous stone in the uterus. That is calcareous degeneration. Next degeneration, fatty degeneration. It is mainly seen in obese patients where there is excessive deposition of fat on this fibroid, and because of this increased size of this fibroid, patient have the lump-like sensation, pressure complaints, frequency of urination, passage of stool, increased desire to pass stool, and the heaviness in abdomen. Sometimes, rarely if the size of fibroid is excessive, patient have dyspnea and palpitations and pressure symptoms. So that is about fatty degeneration. Now these are the various and important degenerations we had seen. Main is red degeneration. It is associated with pregnancy because of increased blood supply. There is congestion and may lead to rupture of blood vessels. That is red degeneration. Fatty degeneration in obese patients especially, and because of fat deposition, fibroid becomes large and may lead to pressure symptoms. We've seen the calcareous degeneration, that is calcium deposition, especially in menopausal age, where there is excessive level of calcium or increased level of calcium which is deposited on the fibroid, and it becomes like a stony structure, stony hard structure, which leads to pain, lump-like sensation. So these are the main degenerations. Then next complication or next change is necrosis. In some female fibroid show the necrotic change. Necrosis means there is decreased blood supply, and because of this usually there is a death of the cells on the fibroid, and that leads to necrosis. And because of necrosis, there may be next is associated with necrosis chances of infection. If there is necrosis, there is no blood supply and the cells are dying, there is automatically septicemia will develop, so infections. And because of this infection, fibroid have the offensive discharge, so PV discharge, per vaginal discharge, sometimes bleeding. Patient have the septicemic complaints of fever, chills, and other infective changes are seen. And last is sarcoma. It may change into sarcomatous stage, or sarcoma can develop. So pathological complications are either that female will have atrophy, she may have some degenerative changes. We had discussed the types of degeneration. She may have the necrosis of fibroid. She may develop the septicemia or infection because of this fibroid, and rarely it may change as a sarcoma. So till now we had seen first of all definition, then causes, types, and now the pathological changes or complications of fibroid. Depending on this, we have clinical features of fibroid. Usually we had seen in atrophy, usually this fibroid subsides as a atrophic change. So patient doesn't have, mainly patient doesn't have any complaint. 50 to 60% patients are asymptomatic. They don't have any complaint because fibroid shrinks automatically and it remains in the uterus without any symptom or sign. Remaining patients may have the complaints, either they may have excessive bleeding during menstruation, so that you called as menorrhagia, metrorrhagia, polymenorrhagia, that is menstrual disorders with excessive and irregular bleeding. Patient may have painful menstruation, that is dysmenorrhea. Again, it is congestive because there is congestion. So main complaints are associated with menstruation. If patient is at menopausal age, she will not have menstruation, but she will complain of menopausal, that we called as postmenopausal bleeding, PMB. She may complain of postmenopausal bleeding. These are the bleeding related and pain related things. Other things are patient have lump like sensation or heavy sensation in abdomen. Next, she may have increased desire to pass stool, urine because of the pressure of the fibroid on the bladder and rectum. Another thing is patient may have infective symptoms like fever, chills because of infection of the fibroid. So these are main complaints because of this fibroid. Important are the menstrual disorders, various menstrual disorders, bleeding disorders, menorrhagia, metrorrhagia, polymenorrhagia, painful menstruation, that is congestive dysmenorrhea, and if menopausal, postmenopausal bleeding, infective, fever, chills, pressure symptoms, increased desire to pass stool, urine, palpitations, dyspnea. Infective are the fever, chills. These are the main symptoms. Some patient at young age may have infertility, failure of conception because of this fibroid, as this is the obstruction in the uterus, so patient doesn't conceive, that is infertility, failure of conception. These are the main symptoms from patient. On examination, signs on examination, what we will find, usually because of increased menstrual blood loss, patient may have anemia, or sometimes if there is excessive bleeding, patient may be in shock. So signs of shock or signs of anemia. You should write all the signs of shock and all the signs of anemia for your answer. And per abdomen examination, there is increased mass or lump can be palpable, but this lump is having proper borders or margins. Whenever we differentiate between benign thing and malignant thing doesn't have border or margin because it is a malignancy, it has spread in the surrounding structure, but benign things always have the margins or border. So well capsulated or well margined tumor or lump can be palpable per abdominally if it is large in size. If it is small in size, we cannot palpate the lump. For PSPV examination, we cannot see anything as a PS examination, but in PV examination, if the tumor is large size or medium size, we can palpate that thing, usually on posterior side. So these are the things which we find on the examination. Next, we should advise for investigations. We should do all the routine investigation, blood, urine investigation, along with important is USG, where we can see the fibroid with its margins and size of the fibroid. We can advise for laparoscopy, hysteroscopy. We can advise biopsy for differentiating benign and malignant thing. So these investigations we usually do for fibroid patients. Next is treatment of fibroid. As this is a benign thing and usually patients are asymptomatic, if this fibroid is not giving more trouble to the lady, we don't have to do anything. As this is a hormonal thing, it will subside after the hormone levels are in normal range. So we just have to give proper assurance, proper diet, exercise, and if needed, hormonal treatment. So hormonal treatment we should do is, it is because of increased level of estrogen hormone. So we should give anti-estrogens or oral contraceptive pills, that is combination of estrogen and progesterone. So oral contraceptive pills which are easily available and they are cheap, we can give it for 3 to 6 months. We will do sonography, ultrasonography, and we will see the size of fibroid. If it is decreased in size, we can continue for another 3 months oral contraceptive pills. Or we can give anti-estrogen hormone, especially that tablet is Danzol. It is anti-estrogenic and androgenic tablet which is which block the action of estrogen. So it can be given for 3 to 6 months, but it should be given with proper observation, because it can lead to it is a male sex hormone, so it can change the some structure or some things in female, and it can have the long side effects on her. So we should give with proper observation, that is Danzol. We can give it for 3 to 6 months without any side effect. But common thing we do is oral contraceptive pills. For 3 to 6 months, we will check the size of fibroid. If it is decreasing, we can continue for another 3 months, or we should give, if patient is not suiting of that oral contraceptive pills, if patient have any allergic reaction or any side effect of that OC pills, we will give Danzol tablets for 3 months, and we will check the size of fibroid. If it is decreasing, we will give this Danzol for another 2 to 3 months. So these are the hormonal treatment we can advise: oral contraceptive pills and anti-estrogenic Danzol. First of all, I have to tell you that we should give her proper diet, because dietic factors are day by day increasing this type of things as fibroids, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So proper diet, proper exercise, and psychological assurance counseling should be given, and then we will give her hormonal treatment, that is OC pills and Danzol. If it is not successful, if we had given this treatment for 3 to 6 months or whatever the period, but if fibroid is not subsiding, and if it is giving more complications, if patient have developed excessive bleeding, or if she is in infective stage, or the fibroid have detached from the site, at that point we have to decide for surgical treatment, and usually we do myomectomy, that is removal of this myoma or removal of fibroid. It called as myomectomy, can be done by laparoscopy, and it is by laparoscopy we don't have to do we don't have to take major incision. We can remove this fibroid by using laparoscopic technique. But if it is large in size and it cannot be removed with laparoscopy, we can remove by the proper abdominal surgery, that is myomectomy, removal of fibroid. If we have to conserve the uterus, if we don't, we should decide this depending on the age of patient, parity of the patient, and other things, because I told you that removal of the uterus is not indicated in every patient, as it gives complications for a long time, because if we remove the uterus, patient will not have the hormones and proper cycle is not seen. So depending on age of patient, we decide what to do, whether to perform this myomectomy or hysterectomy. If patient's age is more than 50, 55, multipara patient, at that point we decide for hysterectomy, that is removal of uterus along with this fibroid, that is hysterectomy, or else we do the myomectomy. Now the sudden complications of fibroid are, as we had seen the pathological complications, but now the other complications are torsion of fibroid, that is sudden rotation or detachment of this fibroid from its original site, that is called as torsion. Fibroid is twisted from this site. Usually it is also seen in pregnancy because of fetal movement. This fibroid detaches from the site and causes severe pain, bleeding, and the complications. So torsion of fibroid is very commonly seen. Another is, as we had seen, infective changes because of infection on fibroid, septicemia. Because of septicemia also patient can go in shock and death, and other complication is sarcoma or malignancy. Fibroid may lead to malignancy. Again, fibroid can be treated along with this allopathic treatment, hormonal treatment, but or else they don't have any proper treatment. They will try for hormones for 3 to 6 months or say for 1 or 2 years, but the surgery is the treatment for fibroid. But in homeopathy there are various remedies which can be useful at any age, during pregnancy especially, because during pregnancy performing the surgery is not that much advisable, because we had seen pregnancy with surgery that may lead to various complications. So fibroid during pregnancy can be treated with homeopathy. So again it is a homeopathic topic which can be covered with homeopathic remedies.